Sona ma'am, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Swana, start kar do. Let people keep on joining. We will not lock the room.
Good evening, everyone. The main hope of a nation lies in the proper education of its youth. On behalf of Rizvi Education Societies, Rizvi College of Arts, Science and Commerce, the Department of Banking and Insurance, Department of Accounts and Finance, Department of Management Studies, and the Department of Multimedia and Mass Communication, I, Suhana Khan, an Assistant Professor, Self-Finance Department, welcome you all in the national webinar on National Education Policy 2020, its impact on the current system and road ahead. In an increasingly complex world, we all need certainty. With this, I cordially welcome the chief patrons for this evening, Dr. Akhtar Hassan Rizvi, the President of Rizvi Education Society and Rizvi Builders, Advocate Mrs. Rubina Akhtar Hassan Rizvi, the Director of Rizvi Education Society and Rizvi Builders, founder of Help Yourself Foundation, and the Chairperson of Women Entrepreneurship Development Council, SME, Maharashtra. Knowledge is power. Information is liberating. Education is the premise of progress in every society, in every family. Rizvi Education Society provides holistic educational experience at academic and extracurricular activities, acting as a catalyst, having its branch in Mumbai, Jaunpur, Allahabad, and Karari. An educational institution providing variation for students, offering arena for knowledge enhancement from primary till secondary level, from undergraduate till postgraduate level, along with professional and technical degrees, with the vision of uplifting Muslim minority students and providing an educational platform for all, also reflected in the college motto, which is to humanize, equalize, and spiritualize. Since 1985, Rizvi Education Societies, Rizvi College of Arts, Science and Commerce have been nurturing talent in academia across various streams, undergraduate, postgraduate, and PhD centers for chemistry, botany, zoology, and commerce. The aim of education should be to teach the child to think, not what to think. An earnest endeavor is to optimize the potential of each child as they grow to become lifelong learners. With this, we'd like to introduce the chief patron for this evening. Words won't be enough to describe an eminent personality like her. She is the director of Rizvi Education Society and Rizvi Builders, founder of Help Yourself Foundation, the chairperson of Women Entrepreneurship Development Council, SME, Maharashtra, an educationist by heart, criminal lawyer, forensic expert, motivational speaker, women entrepreneur, philanthropist, and an inspiration for all. A recipient of numerous awards in the field of education, awarded with Women Achiever Award 2018 for contributing and developing high-quality educational institution, Indian Education Award as India's most eminent women educationist and entrepreneur of the year, Women Empowerment Award for her enormous contribution to strengthen women through various initiatives, the Shiksha Gaurav Puraskar for developing high-quality education institutions, recently conferred as the Pride of Maharashtra. Her vision can be realized in the global benchmarks she has brought to Rizvi Education Society. It's an honor to work under her guidance, under her leadership. Each person holds so much power within themselves that needs to be let out. Sometimes they just need a little nudge, a little direction, a little support, a little coaching, and greatest things can happen. With this, I may request Dr. Mrs. Anjum Ara Ahmed, the Principal in charge of Rizvi College of Arts, Science and Commerce, for a welcome address.
Good evening, each and everyone present here. I, on behalf of Rizvi Education Society's Rizvi College of Arts, Science and Commerce, would like to welcome the management of this, first of all, the management of Rizvi Education Society, our Honorable President, Dr. Akhtar Hassan Rizvi sir, and our Honorable Director, Advocate Mrs. Rubina Akhtar Hassan Rizvi ma'am, for this national level webinar on National Education Policy 2020. I am also privileged to welcome our resource person, Dr. A.D. Sawant sir and Dr. Ashwan Bhalla sir, for accepting our invitation and being part of it. It is also a great pleasure to welcome all the delegates who have joined this webinar from all over the India and across the globe. This topic is very relevant, and hence we felt that it was an appropriate time to organize such a webinar to enlighten all the stakeholders regarding the policy and its impact on the current education system and also explain the road ahead. We are blessed with a huge response as more than 1,000 people have registered for the same. Hope everyone will benefit from this talk. With these few words, I request that the program can be taken ahead.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
There's some noise problem, I think. So just check. Hello, yeah, you can go ahead, Swana.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I may now request the co-host of the webinar, Ms. Mehvi Sheikh, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to bring out the highlights for this evening.
Very good evening and warm welcome to one and all. I'm delighted to take this all-important and valuable webinar forward. Before introducing our esteemed resource person, let us look at the outline of the new Education Policy 2020. From making board exams easy, reduction of curriculum to core concepts, replacement of the 10+2 structure of school curriculum with a 5+3+3+4 structure, and teaching up to at least +5 in the mother tongue or regional language are among the many school education reforms outlined in the new National Education Policy approved by the Union Cabinet. The National Education Policy 2020, directed at quality, innovation, and research, will be the pillars on which India will become a knowledge superpower. The fundamental highlight of the NEP 2020 is the element of choice, realizing student potential and dignity. With a happy heart, I would like to introduce you to the highlight of this evening. Joining us today, we have two towering personalities who will be sharing their meaningful insights and takeaways on the new National Education Policy 2020. This brings me to the introduction of our first resource person this evening, Dr. Ashwini Kumar Bhalla. With a varied body of work and achievements to his name, he continues to spread his pearls of knowledge as he is currently the professor in the Postgraduate Department of Commerce, Innovation and Research, SCD Government College, Ludhiana. He has also been honored with Excellence Research Award at UGC International Conference, DAV College Managing Committee, Punjab, Management Excellence Award by Himachal Pradesh Commerce and Management Association, Shimla, Best Research Paper Award, Lovely Institute of Management, Phagwara. May I now invite Dr. Ashwini Kumar Bhalla to focus on the highlights of the National Education Policy 2020.
Thank you. Let me share my screen first. Is it visible? The screen is visible to everybody?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, I extend my heartiest thanks to Dr. Anjum for giving me an opportunity to share my views on National Education Policy 2020 with the large stakeholders, particularly from 9 countries and approximately 14 states of India. I think this shows the sincerity of the people that they are very sincere to discuss the agenda for the future, because the education is the basic route from where our young generation will float. And if I look at the National Education Policy 2020, the focus, before discussing the focus of this policy with all of you, I would like to discuss something about the various scholars of this nation, not only this nation, but all over the world. First, the Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad has said that Allah has asked human beings to study and acquire knowledge and make a good use of pen, because without these, man can never understand Allah and his creation properly. So education has been considered as a very, very important aspect even by Prophet Muhammad. I belong to Punjab, and I'm accustomed with the Guru Nanak Dev philosophy. The Vishwa Guru Guru Nanak Dev Ji, which is the first Guru of the Sikhs, not only Sikhs but all of us, he said in his various holy books like Japuji Sahib, Asa Diwar and Onkar, and according to him, true education should enable a man to attain self-realization. He says emphatically that a really educated man is one who enlightens his mind with the divine knowledge and realizes himself. He has emphasized this idea again and again. Swami Vivekananda, he said education should aim at bringing out the excellence in man. In other words, education should aim at bringing out the human excellence. Generally, it shows that education in the real sense of the term should be man-making, character molding and life building. Sri Aurobindo Ghosh, he said the main aim of the education is to develop the latent powers of the child, training of six senses, training of logical faculties, physical education, principle of freedom, moral and religious education, and above all, training for the spiritualization of the individual. Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, he urged the students to explore intellectual self-reliance and freedom. He believed that the true freedom in the acquisition of the knowledge and experience could not be gained by possessing others' people's ideas, but by forming one's own standards of judgment and producing one's own thoughts. So I think when we talk about education system of any country, it should aim at developing that kind of mankind which can develop self-actualization and self-realization and produce his own thoughts, own philosophy which can guide the future generation. And when I look at this education policy, I find many points in it. Basically, education is the base to measure the quality of any society. And the relevant education policy is the key to unlock the future of the young generation. If we do not focus on our educational structure or education policy or education system, our future generation cannot deliver fruitful results, and mankind, the interest of the mankind and the safety of the mankind will always be at stake. If I look at this present education policy, which has been accepted by the union government, it has certain acceptances. It has accepted that world is undergoing rapid change in the knowledge landscape. Without various dramatic scientific and technological advances, such as the rise of big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, it has been realized that many unskilled jobs may be taken over by the machine. So we have to find out the alternative routes for employment for our young generation. There is a need for a skilled workforce, particularly involving mathematics, computer science, data science, in conjunction with multidisciplinary abilities across the sciences, social sciences, and humanities that will be in demand in this future. These are certain acceptances. This policy has also accepted certain challenges and accordingly tried to focus on it. This policy has accepted that there will be a climate change, population will increase tremendously, our natural resources will be depleted, and there will be a crisis of meeting the world's energy, water, food, and sanitation needs, and requiring new skilled labor, particularly in biology, chemistry, physics, agriculture, climate science, and social science. And with the emergence of epidemics and pandemics that will require collaborative research in the field of managing infectious disease and development of vaccine, and meeting the social issues which heighten the need for multidisciplinary learning. There will be a need of critical and innovative thought, and we have to incorporate basic arts, crafts, humanities, games, sports, and fitness, and literature and culture in our curriculum. So that's why this policy has accepted these challenges and accordingly tried to build an agenda for the future. Because this is the first education policy of this 21st century, and this policy has a focus of revising and revamping the all aspects of educational structure, like regulation and governance, creating new system aligned with inspirational goals of 21st education, including Sustainable Development Goal 4 of the Global Education Development Agenda, which was adopted by India in 2015. And emphasis is on the development of creative potential of each individual. The focus of national education policy is development not only cognitive capacities, both the foundational capacities of literacy and numeracy, and higher order cognitive capacities such as critical thinking and problem solving, but also social, ethical, and emotional capacities and disposition. Vision of the National Policy 2020. First vision of this, if I look at this, the total document of 65 pages, it has focused on the development of creative potential of each individual. Secondly, it tries to focus on developing a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental rights and duties and constitutional values, bonding with one's country, and a conscious awareness of one's role and responsibilities in the changing world. It instills skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. It has also focused on development of scientific temper and creative imagination. The objectives of new policy of education is it will create first focus on creative learning among the students and boost their employment process. Presently, the whatever structure of education we have, that is promoting a rote learning system where the students learn throughout the years and vomit in the examination, but when they go out of the exam system of education, out of their educational institution, they find no path. If they found any path, then they are not having any confidence to move on such path. So therefore, if creative learning has to be there in the educational system, which will develop among the students and boost their employment prospects. Secondly, because if I look at the various educational institutions, there is a much exploitation of the students in the form of tuition fees and charges. And this policy is focusing on implementation of a cap on tuition fee in the private institution, offering higher education. The government expects that this will reduce reliance on education loans and hence lessen the burden on the parents' pocket. The government through the National Education Policy proposes to set up a Higher Education Commission of India with 4 verticals, namely National Higher Education Regulatory Council, secondly, National Accreditation Council, Higher Education Grants Council, and General Education Council. And the present University Grants Commission, All India Council of Technical Education, National Council for Teacher Education, all will be working as standard setting bodies for preparing the various landmark standards for the higher education as well as the school education. And the effective implementation of the reform measures underlined in the National Education Policy will require enhanced government spending in education, which has been proposed that the 6% of the GDP will be spent on education. Every policy promise minimum 6 to 7%, but how this will happen, this is the question mark, and which will depend upon the time how the government reacts to it. A higher public spending on education is expected to result to a boost in the employment prospects, and this policy aims to encourage enrollment in the higher education through the better infrastructure, pedagogy, and more research and development activities. I belong to the Punjab state, but I find that here in Punjab, the issue is not increasing the gross enrollment ratio in higher education. The issue in Punjab is how to stop the migration which is taking place to other countries. Around 15 lakh people are migrating every year from the state of Punjab, Haryana, Himachal to other countries like Canada, UK, US for higher education purpose. The basic reason for that is that we have not so much quality in higher education. So I think with the policy measures like this, there will be a shift on quality because this policy aims to develop quality universities and colleges. The key principles of national education policy here. First, it has a respect for diversity and a local context. India is a country of many languages. Various kinds of people are living here. Various kinds of cultures are here. So this policy, by introducing the up to fifth class or up to 5 years, the education in a local language or regional language, this is going to have respect for the local context also. And this policy has promised equity and inclusion as the cornerstone of all educational decisions. There will be a community participation, encouragement of facilitation for philanthropic, private and community participation, and the more focus is on use of technology. We are in a pandemic situation, and in this situation, this has forced us to switch towards the online system of education, online admissions, online teaching, online examination, and online results. So in teaching and learning, removing language barrier for Divyang students and in the educational planning and management, including technology, this is going to be a landmark if it is matured in a real sense. Emphasize on conceptual understanding rather than rote learning and learning for exams. Because the present system of education is rote learning system, which is focused on examination. Here, the focus is on developing the creativity and innovations among the students. And unique capabilities, recognizing, identifying them in each and every student. And this education system, which is promised in this policy, will able to develop critical thinking and creativity to encourage logical decision making and innovations. And it has promised that there will be a continuous review based on the sustained research and regular assessment by the educational institution. Now the question is, how is it different from the current system? The National Education Policy 2020 break away from the predecessor in many ways. Unlike its predecessor, the National Education Policy 2020 is built on the ground pillars, including access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. Its amendments aim to look at a realistic and towards the fast-pacing future. The big changes in the board exam, new curriculum structure, coding lessons, regulation, holistic multidisciplinary education, early childhood care and education, and the new curricular and pedagogical structure, multilingualism, assessment reforms, online education, and digital education is a new form of existing policy. All these initiatives lay out the clear-sighted vision of the national education policy with no social group being left behind and making the Indian education system as a global destination. This policy has a two structure. One is for school and one is for higher education, and other parts are for the implementation. Now look at the transforming curricular and pedagogical structure. Here it has been rightly said by the inaugural speaker who introduced the theme of this seminar that 10+2 system has been replaced, but not completely. This has been divided into 5+3+3+4 new pedagogical and curricular structure of school education. First level is a foundational stage which will start at the age of 3. When the child will be at the age of 3, they will be admitted in the Anganwadi, preschool and Balvatika, and will continue to be there at the age of 6. So 3 years they will be spending in the Anganwadi, preschool and Balvatika, etc. and where multi-level play activity-based learning, the students will be developed. So after that, they will be spending 2 years as class 1 and class 2 from the age 6 to age 8. Yet that means 2 years they will be spending and this will be also a part of the foundational stage. After that, the child will move to the +3. That means after spending 5 years in Anganwadi, preschool and Balbatika, and having class 1 and class 2 up to the age of 8, at foundational stage, they will move to the preparatory stage, which will be from class 3 to class 5. That means from age 8 to age 11. And here, through the play, discovery, and activity-based and interactive classroom learning, the creative abilities of the students will be developed. After that, we will move to the middle stage, which will be from the age of 11 to the age of 14. The child will be spending 3 years there from class 6 to class 8. And here at the middle stage, experiential learning in sciences, mathematics, arts, social sciences, and humanities with the use of technologies, and the non-governmental organization, they will also be participating and developing the cognitive abilities of the students, making them more responsible and with having a innovative and critical mind. After that, the child will move to the secondary stage, where they will be spending 4 years, that is age 14 to age 18. That means class 9 to class 12. Here, there will be multidisciplinary study, greater critical thinking, flexibility, and students' choice of students. The bottlenecks and the pyramids which were there, that the student is studying art, science, commerce, they all are going to be replaced. Here, with the multidisciplinary study, with the choice of the students on the various subjects, the student will be able to prepare. And there many things has been promised, like major reforms has been there in this system also. There will be a universalization of early childhood care education. The whole country will be focusing on the foundation stage as well as the preparatory stage. So emphasis will be on foundational literacy and numeracy. It has been emphasized that unless and until you have a foundation literacy and you are expert in the numeracy, you cannot go ahead. Child's creativity is not developed. His potential for creating innovative things is not developed. So current 10+2 system to be replaced by 5+3+3+4 curricular structure, corresponding to the ages of 3 to 8, 8 to 11, 11 to 14, and 14 to 18 years respectively. So this is going to integrate curriculum to the 21st century skills, that is mathematical thinking and scientific temper. No rigid separation between academic stream, extracurricular, vocational streams in the schools. If a child is participating in the vocational stream, extracurricular stream, they will be given a credit for that, and his ability would be go ahead to develop it. So there is going to be a support for the gifted students. Like today, the gifted students or the Divyang students, they are not allowed to study with the normal students. So this is going to have a support for gifted students. They will also be studying with the other students. So gender inclusion fund is going to be created. Curriculum is going to be reduced, content more to the core concepts, vocational education to start from the class 6 onwards. So assessment reforms has been promised with 360-degree holistic progress card, tracking student progress for achieving learning outcome. So these are the major reforms which has been made. So new system will have 12 years of schooling with 3 years of Anganwadi and preschooling, teaching up to the at least grade 5 to be the mother tongue, regional language. No language will be imposed on any student. So many people are criticizing that they are going to impose Hindi, they are going to impose Sanskrit, they are not going to impose anything, but student can study in mother language, as it has been experienced that the value education, the values cannot be taught in the foreign language, values can only be taught in the mother language or regional language. No, but this policy do not impose anything regarding that the language, any particular language will be imposed. Secondly, the textbooks, which are the important part of our school education, national textbooks with local talent and flavor will be produced. Transforming assessment for the student development, more regular and formative, more competency based, promote learning and development for our students, and test higher order skills such as analysis, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity. So it is proposed to set up a National Assessment Center, PARC, which is a performance assessment, review, and analysis of knowledge for holistic development. A new and comprehensive national curriculum framework for teacher education 2020 will be formulated by the National Council of Teacher Education in consultation with the National Council of Educational Research and Training. And by the 2020, the minimum degree qualification for teaching will be a 4-year integrated B.Ed program, which they have promised to introduce in future. So if you look at the early childhood education, learning in the formative years, it is going to develop a curiosity, logical thinking. If you look at the brain of the human being, the picture of the human being, these are the certain things which they are going to develop in the human brain so that the creativity and innovation is developed. First, they have to develop a curiosity among the teaching learning process. Secondly, logical thinking and problem solving. Thirdly, we will incorporate arts, crafts, and music. The person will be connected with the nature. The relationship of the nature with the education, nature with the human being will be connected, and the human beings will be, the child will be equipped with colors, shapes, alphabets, and numbers. There will be a teamwork and collaboration to implement it. Play-based and numeracy-based learning. Ethics will be incorporated in the curriculum itself, and the system will be so developed that the ethics should be the part of the education. Self-identity, etiquette, behavior, and emotional development. These are the things which early childhood care education is going to incorporate. Then there will be a proper standard setting and accreditation system of even schools also. It has been experienced that though we have certain bodies, but at the school level, the focus is not much on the standard setting and accreditation. So 4 things have been promised in this policy. First, setting up State School Standard Authority, SSSA. Secondly, self-disclosure of all basic regulatory information of all schools at SSA and school website. Secondly, to ensure all schools follow certain minimum professional and quality standards. Thirdly, development of school quality and assessment and accreditation framework, like for the colleges we have the NAC. Periodic health checkup, overall system through a sample-based national achievement survey, like in higher education we have. So fourthly, public and private schools, except the central government school, will be assessed and accredited on common minimum criteria, and private philanthropic schools to be encouraged and enabled to play a beneficial role so that the access and equity in the education system for all stakeholders can be ensured. So this policy is going to ensure the universal access to education at all levels, multiple pathways to learning involving both formal and non-formal education modes. We have to build schools promoting both government and non-government level. Philanthropic organizations will also be encouraged to participate in building the schools. Learning outcome will be focusing on achieving desired learning outcome at all levels, and the standard will be set by the various bodies. Bringing back to dropouts, as it has been experienced in the government school, there is a much dropout after even 3rd, 4th, or 5th, and many people leave after the 10th also. They don't go for the higher education. To bring back the dropouts, various measures has been promised, and alternative centers as alternative and innovative education centers will be developed, and peer tutoring suitable for all categories, business and personal presentation will be ensured. So there is going to be reduction in the curriculum. So focus will be on the core essentials. Curriculum in all subjects to be reduced to its core essentials. So unnecessary things which are not required, they will be reduced. And the focus will be on critical thinking, focusing on critical thinking, inquiry, discovery, discussion. The method of teaching will be discussion-based and analysis-based, and learning methods for holistic education. Interactive classrooms, interactive teaching with reduced dependency on the textbooks. Questions from students will be promoted, and experiential learning like fun, creative, collaborative, and exploratory activities in the classroom for experiential learning and deeper student learning will be ensured. And curriculum and pedagogy to be transformed by 2022 to promote skill-based and minimize road-based learning, and a revision of National Curriculum Framework for School Education and NCF for Teacher Education by 2009, by 2020, they will be ready. So innovative pedagogy, transforming teaching learning process, as I have said, experiential learning, integrated pedagogy of art, sports, storytelling, and ICT integrated pedagogy, promotion of peer tutoring, equal weightage, no hard separation between curricular, co-curricular and extracurricular activities, freedom of choosing a variety of subjects combination to be provided, and choice will be with the student. Bagless days will be there. Now it has been seen in the many education policies that the burden of the bag should be reduced from the shoulder of the students, but we fail to do it. This policy has again promised that the bagless days will be scheduled in the academic calendar, and use and integration of the technology up to the age of right from the class 6 to class 12 should be ensured. So examination reform has been has to be there in grades 9 to 12, including board exam, and board exam will be made easier as they will test primarily core competencies and capabilities only. Viable models to be explored like annual, semester, modular exam, 2 parts exam, objective type as well as the descriptive type. So it should not be there the student appear in the end of the semester or the year, and whatever they know at that time, if they are not able to do it. So continuous system of evaluation will be there, and guidelines will be prepared by the NCERT in consultation with the State Council of Educational Research and Training, Board of Assessment and PARAC, etc. So teacher to be prepared for a transformation in the assessment system by 2022-23 academic session, and each school board shall ensure evidence of academic standards in learner attainments, and standard norms and guidelines for school boards through PARAC, a national center will be established. Textbook with local content and flavor, I have already explained this. So there is a timeline for implementation of the early childhood child care education, and the new education system is there. So till 2021-22, initial implementation of 1 year of primary school and 3 months preparatory module for class 1. This is the phase 1. Then also, secondly, expansion of 1 year of pre-primary school through primary schools and Anganwadi. This is the phase 2. So in this way, this timeline has been established that class 9, class 10th, class 11th, class 12, yani 2021-22 we will implement, and the class 10 similarly 2024-25 we will be implementing of new curriculum and assessment, and new board examination pattern for class 12 after that will be implemented. So transforming the culture of assessment, continuous tracking of learning outcome of each child, board exam to be more flexible with assessment of essential skills, assessment to focus on core concepts, higher order and foundational skills. So all artificial intelligence based software to help the track of progress of the student, to enable them to make more optimal career choices. So National Assessment Center will help in bringing greater synergy in the board exams, self-assessment and peer assessment, and the National Testing Agency will work to offer high quality common aptitude tests to eliminate the need for taking coaching for these exams. So similarly, this policy has focused on mental and physical health and well-being of the students, and the regular health check, reduce the weight of the school bags, mandatory skill health and wellness, hiring consultation in the school complexes, and focus on child with disabilities, and inclusive and caring culture at school will be developed. So now let's come to the higher education. In higher education, it has been promised that by the year 2035, the gross enrollment ratio, which is presently 26.4%, will be raised to 50% as GER. As I have already said that presently that the issue is not gross enrollment ratio, but issue is to improve the quality of our educational institutions like universities and colleges, so that we can stop the migration. Large amount of population is migrating to other countries because of the lack of quality of education here. And the concept of earn while learn has to be developed. So this policy has promised holistic multidisciplinary education, multiple entry and exit point. If suppose the UG program is of 3 years or 4 years, if a person complete 1 year, they may be given diploma. If a person complete 2 years, advanced diploma, and 3rd year, they can be given associate degree, and after 4th year, they can be given a complete degree of undergraduate class. Similarly, for post-graduation program of 1 year and 2 years, if a person has done graduation of 4 years, then it will be PG of 1 year, and if it has done 3 years, then PG will be of 2 years. So integrated 5-year bachelor and master program has also been promised in this educational policy. So MPhil research PhD is to be continued, but MPhil degrees to be discontinued. The most important thing which has been promised in this educational policy is the academic bank of credit. Now the problem is, if a person has done BCom Part 1 from the Mumbai University and he is shifted to the Punjab University, the Punjab University may impose many deficiencies into that this subject has not been studied, this not been studied. So therefore, he has to pass some more examinations to cope up with the Punjab University syllabus. Now, with the promise of academic bank of credit, these things are going to be abolished. So there will be academic bank of credit where the credits will be stored into that. Whenever a person shifts from one institution to another institution, the credit which he has already earned, they will be credited in the degree which they are going to complete from other universities. So multidisciplinary education and research universities are promised at par with IITs, IIMs, phasing out affiliation system in 15 years. So there will be autonomous colleges. So autonomy, which is the need of the hour. In Punjab, Haryana, Himachal, we are witnessing much interference by the universities into the affairs of the colleges, and sometimes the creativity and innovation is there in the colleges, but the colleges are not cope up with the requirements of the university and unnecessary interference of the university. So autonomy to start the new courses, to design the syllabus at the colleges level, and to make out the programs up to the post-graduation level, they will be free to do that. So National Mission for Mentoring and Independent Board of Governors has been promised. Higher Education Commission of India, as I already said, that with 4 verticals that is going to be established. An online self-disclosure based transparent system for approval in place of inspection. So the Inspector Raj is going to be abolished in the new education policy or the national education policy, and the National Research Foundation will be created as an apex body for fostering a strong research culture and building research capacity. So major reforms in the higher education field are financial support for the students. So National Scholarship Portal will be expanded to support and foster the progress of the students receiving scholarship. Private higher education institutions will be encouraged to offer large number of free ships and scholarship to their students. Open and distance learning system, this will be expanded to play a significant role in increasing the gross enrollment ratio. Measures such as online courses, digital repositories, funding for research, improved student services, credit-based recognition of MOOCs, etc., will be taken to ensure it at par with the highest quality in the class programs. Online and digital education, technology in education, which I have already explained in the beginning of my presentation. Similarly, institutional restructuring and consolidation has been promised. Holistic multidisciplinary education, multiple entry and exit program, I have already explained all these things earlier also. So open learning environment and as a student support, criteria-based grading system, integration of academic plans ranging from curricular improvement in the quality of classroom transaction into larger institutional development plan. So every educational institution will be having a institutional development plan for the future and setting up of high quality support center for students from socially, economically disadvantaged backgrounds to make successful transition to higher education. The internationalization of the higher education, there's a lot has been said about it, that they will be allowing the campuses of the foreign universities in India, but the quality parameters they have to follow. Students' activity with the participation and financial support for the students. So as far as this policy, total policy, either from the school point of view is concerned or higher education point of view is concerned, the teacher is at the center stage. So it has been promised that the teaching duty is not to be excessive, student-teacher ratios to be low, faculty to be appointed at individual institution and should not be transferable, empowering the faculty to conduct innovative teaching, research and service, and excellence to be incentivized through appropriate rewards, promotion, recognition, and movements into institutional leadership. In India, and particularly in the region of North India, in Punjab, Haryana, Himachal, we have seen lot of exploitation of the teachers. They have been paid meager salaries. They have not been allowed to go on leave even in the case of exigency. So I think with the introduction of all these things and making it at par with the India level, some kind of good picture will emerge in the faculty side. So equity and inclusion in higher education, this has mitigating the opportunity cost and fees for pursuing higher education, providing scholarship to socially economical disadvantaged students, increase employability of the potential of higher education program, and develop more degree courses to be taught in the Indian language, ensure all buildings and faculties are wheelchair accessible and displays freely. These are the certain issues which has been from the society point of view and equity and access point of view, and it will ensure, strictly enforce that no discrimination and anti-harassment should be there. So education has been given a most important part. B.Ed degree is going to be a 4 years integrated program by 2020, and teaching field research experience will be highly valued. All fresh B.Ed entrants, irrespective of the discipline, will be required to take credit-based courses in teaching, education, pedagogy, writing related to their PhD subject during their doctoral training program, and the use of technology platform like Swayam Diksha or online training of the teachers will be encouraged, and national mission for mentoring will also be there. So reimagination of the vocational education has also been promised in this policy. So this will integrate all the educational offerings. Secondary school will also collaborate with ITI, polytechnics, and local industry. National Committee for Integration of the Vocational. The most important part of this policy is that the industry institute interface are going to be in the real sense. So industry will also be involved in the curriculum design. Industry will also be involved in the various decision makings of the universities which are regarding the development of a plan of curriculum for the student. So national skill qualification framework will be detailed further for each discipline, vocation and profession. So National Research Foundation, as I have already explained it. So this is going to be a transform the regulatory system of higher education. As I have said that the verticals are going to be reduced and the present bodies are going to be converted in the standard setting bodies. So this will transform the present system and give more boost to the efficiency of the higher education system in the country. So effective governance and leadership of higher education institution is going to be board of governors shall be established consisting of highly qualified, competent and dedicated individuals, and strategic institutional development plan will be there. So the key focus area, if I sum up in the last, is basically it is a competency based education. It is going to integrate the different subjects as per the demands of the new century. It is going to develop the scientific temper and no silos among the subjects learning, no hard separation between curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular, academic, vocational, science, humanities, sports, arts, academics, and the emphasis will be on digital literacy and promoting the multilingual teaching at all. So setting up of PARC, I have already said, this is going to focus on 21st century skills, promoting critical and creative thinking aligned to the 21st century in the classroom. So this has been the timeline as I already explained to you. So I think the new education policy has given so many things as promised in the 65-page document. But the reality will come out when we are going to implement. It is not the government alone which is going to implement it. It is the responsibility of all the stakeholders. Government is for funding. Government is for creating the infrastructure and the institutions which are going to set the standards and give the guidelines to you. Basically, it is the states also, and it is the educational institutions and universities also, which can take care of all these aspects. And in the Punjab state, the government of Punjab has already started the initiative. Lot many things has been done. An institutional development plan has been made. And I think with the end of this particular year, 2020, from the next academic session, 2021-22, many things which are positive in this direction, like multiple entry and multiple exit system, setting up of the quality universities and colleges, and setting up standards of higher education and school education, and adopting the language policy as per the design of this policy is concerned, that they are going to be implemented. I hope with the passage of time, more things will come out with the discussion. So in the end, I again congratulate the RISB Foundation and the RISB College of Arts, Science and Commerce for organizing this program. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your in-depth analysis and valuable take on the National Education Policy 2020. That was indeed a comprehensive and informative one. Thank you so much again. Keeping our senses engaged to more quality and competence, I would now like to introduce our second resource person who has painted the environment green with his accomplishments, Professor Dr. A.D. Sawant. Apart from his mammoth considerable achievements, currently